Alright, small disclaimer, this is an episode of Pokemon that divides opinion. And when I say it divides opinion, I mean it divides my opinion and yours. Because I'm pretty sure this is the episode that makes so many people go,
"Oh my god, I love Ash's Bulbasaur, what a great character it is!"
And for me, it's an episode that makes me think, God, I really can't stand this Marty bastard. And don't get me wrong, I do love the Pokemon anime. I know with the way this series works, I don't always show it, but I do genuinely love the Pokemon anime. It's just episodes like this really get my goat a bit. So let's have a look and see if you guys can finally discover what I discovered years ago, and that's that Ash's Bulbasaur just isn't that likable. We start the episode with Ash battling a trainer who has a Rhyhorn, and Ash sends out his Bulbasaur to fight it. That's right, Ash Ketchum, our usually incompetent hero, sends out a Pokemon whose moves are 4 times effective against his opponent, and as his first action of the episode, no less. Ash Ketchum did something smart at the beginning of the episode. Say it with me. Ash Ketchum did something smart at the beginning of the episode. What in the ever-loving? Feels a bit weird that Brock is terrified of Rhyhorn, a rock-type Pokemon, but I guess we'll let it slide. He says that Rhyhorn's takedown is like being hit by a tank. Been hit by many tanks, have you, Brock? Ash's Bulbasaur gets absolutely battered by Rhyhorn's takedown. You know, stuff like this wouldn't keep happening if you actually rotated your team a little bit more. Ash, you're so reliant on Pikachu, you're letting the rest of the team slip. Also, why would you start with Leech Seed against a Rhyhorn? It's a ground and rock type, mate. Any grass type damaging move melts it. Just bang out Razor Leaf and it'll be over before it's even started. Direct quote from Misty.
That Rhyhorn must be at a high level.
Yes, that is for everyone who gives me shit about using game logic against the anime. Levels are canon, mate. So you know what? Let me know in the comments what level you think Ash's Pikachu is. Ash tells Bulbasaur to return, but Bulbasaur refuses and dodges the Pokeball tractor beam thing. Brock reckons this is because Bulbasaur is determined not to give up the battle until it wins. Now I know you guys might be thinking,
"Oh my god, that's so heroic! Bulbasaur's such a great Pokemon!"
But mate, he's a terrible Pokemon. He just disobeyed a direct order from his trainer who was only issuing that order for Bulbasaur's own well-being. That wouldn't stand in the military, and it shouldn't here either. I'm just saying, we can't be having a go at Charizard 1 minute for disobeying Ash and then the next minute give this Mardy little cabbage a pass. Also, what Brock said didn't really make sense. He said Bulbasaur wouldn't give up the battle until it wins. But if Bulbasaur won, it wouldn't need to give up the battle because it would be over. The bloke they're battling laughs at Ash and says he must be a lousy trainer because his Pokemon won't even listen to him. Mate, this is why Ash's Bulbasaur's such an arsehole. He's making his own trainer look like a right mug. Bulbasaur's like that one friend who starts making loads of jokes at your expense when you meet a bunch of new people. You know, they try so hard to impress the new people by making you look like a tit. Bulbasaur's toxic. Pass it on.
Well, actually, Liam, he is a poison type.
Hey, that was actually pretty funny. You know what, mate? You're alright.
Really?
Nah, you're still a crikey. Ash actually told Bulbasaur to use Razor Leaf, and as we expected, it taught Rhyhorn a new one. It also followed up with Vine Whip without actually being told to do so, so that's twice now Bulbasaur has disobeyed its trainer. Not that I'm keeping count. Direct quote from the guy who moments ago called Ash a lousy trainer.
You really chopped me down to size. Your Bulbasaur is great.
You smell that? Smells like humble pie. Direct quote from Brock.
Bulbasaur can never settle for being second best, can it, Ash?
This right here absolutely confirms everything I was saying in the Snow Way Out episode. Bulbasaur hates that Pikachu is Ash's #1 Pokemon and will try and take that spot by any means necessary. Misty says all of Ash's Pokemon are really stubborn, just like Ash. Mate, what did Pidgeotto ever do? All it ever does is follow orders and help out when called upon. Mate, justice for Pidgeotto. Talk about hanging around with the wrong crowd. If you want to be part of the best crowd, make sure you're hitting that like button and also hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode of Pokemon WTF Moments, because we're a really good bunch over here, we are. Bulbasaur collapses and Ash asks if something's the matter or if Bulbasaur's feeling sick. Mate, it's just been in a fight. Do you think people turn to Conor McGregor after a fight and go, "Oh, are you feeling okay, Conor? Bit sore?" Is Conor McGregor still a fighter? Is that still a thing? Like, I don't actually know. I think I'm showing my age here. Bulbasaur's bulb starts glowing, and you know what that means? Or not, as we'll find out later. Oh yeah, spoiler alert. Ash takes Bulbasaur to the Pokemon Center for help, and after looking at it, Nurse Joy says,
"I wonder if this Bulbasaur is..."
and then just doesn't finish her sentence, leaving Ash to expect the worst. Sometimes, Joy, it's better just not to say anything. As Bulbasaur is taken past some flowers in the Pokemon Center, they start to bloom. Now, if this was a horror film or any kind of negative thing, they'd have wilted, so we kind of know everything's gonna be okay. Unless anyone has hay fever, in which case, mate, me too, and I feel your pain. Direct quote from Nurse Joy.
It's happening. Now I'm positive.
What's happening? What are you positive about? Tell us what you mean. You're talking in riddles, girl. Joy tells Ash that Bulbasaur isn't sick. In fact, it's getting ready to evolve. That was your hunch? That's the hypothesis you were being so secretive about? Mate, you could see Ash getting stressed and worried. You could have at least said, don't worry, mate. I'm pretty sure this is what happens when Bulbasaur's about to evolve. Nurse Joy's a cockend. Pass it on. Brock says Ash shouldn't be surprised because the guy they fought earlier said Bulbasaur was strong and that Ash did a great job training it. Yeah, but the guy did also say Ash was a lousy trainer, so I guess he was giving off mixed signals there. Ash inquires about when Bulbasaur will evolve, and Joy explains that every year Bulbasaur gather from all over the world for a festival of evolution. Now look, in Pokemon there are a number of annoying evolution conditions. Trade holding a certain item, max happiness during the day, turn the console upside down, take at least 49 hit points of damage and then walk under the stone bridge in the Dusty Bowl. But bring your Bulbasaur to a very specific location at a very specific time of year known only to Bulbasaur? That's bollocks, mate.
Liam, do you really think that's worse than Galarian Yamask's evolution?
Yes, because Joy said herself this evolution event takes place at a different time every year. So there's no way of knowing when the right time is. It's total RNG. Bulbasaur and Pikachu have a conversation, but it's in their own species-specific language, so we can't understand it. You gotta love filler. Bulbasaur suddenly gets abducted by a group of other Bulbasaur. Now this is weird because Bulbasaur so far hasn't actually given any indication that it doesn't want to be part of this evolution festival yet. At least not in a way that we can understand. Obviously that's what Pikachu and Bulbasaur were probably just discussing, but the other Bulbasaur aren't psychic, so they would have had to have just happened to overhear the conversation to know that this Bulbasaur didn't want to evolve. I'm just saying that as a viewer, I shouldn't need to jump through all these hoops to figure out why this is all happening. That's just bad writing. Direct quote from Bulbasaur.
Bulba! Bulbasaur! Bulba! Bulbasaur!
Okay, now I can understand why I never liked Ash's Bulbasaur as a kid. The thing's piss irritating. Direct quote from a sleep-talking Ash Ketchum.
That makes 1,000 badges!
Why would Ash dream about getting 1,000 badges? He only needs 8 to get to the Pokemon League. Unless he really does think it'll take him 125 tries before he actually wins the thing. Mate, you've got to have more confidence in yourself. Pikachu wakes Ash by electrocuting him. Mate, you know you can just nudge people and they'll usually wake up, right? In fact, you can kill people by shocking them like we did on Hitman 3 the other night.
Guys, look at the camera. Amazing!
Pokemon theory. Ash's Pikachu is actually a Ditto who stayed in the form of a Pikachu too long and got stuck, but can still transform into other things, much like Tobias from Animorphs. Oh, would you look what day it is? It's Dated Reference Day. Meanwhile, Team Rocket's James is suffering due to all the pollen in the air, and God, that's a mood. I told you James was my spirit animal. Oh, I'm dreading how much pollen 2021's gonna bring us. It's not gonna be good, is it? As Team Rocket are walking along, the group of Bulbasaur that kidnapped Ash's Bulbasaur walk past and stop dead in their tracks when they notice Team Rocket. It's almost like they've been caught doing something they shouldn't. Poor Team Rocket, though. Imagine walking through the forest minding your own business and you stumble across Bulbasaur BDSM. You'd want to clean your eyes out with bleach, wouldn't you? Disclaimer, don't ever clean your eyes out with bleach. I shouldn't have to say it, but I bet at least one of you out there is stupid enough to try. Team Rocket take it in turns to make Bulbasaur-based alliterations, but James describes the scene as a Bulbasaur blowout, which really doesn't make the situation feel any less weird. Team Rocket suffer from premature blast-off. Must be rough. Team Rocket land with enough force to make a crater in the ground right on the spot where Ash and Co were stood just moments earlier. Talk about cheating death. Imagine if they'd been a second later leaving the area and just got splattered by Team Rocket and then the credits just rolled. But then they'd have to make that Bulbasaur and Pikachu conversation from earlier even longer to fill up the time. Great, and now the whole forest is alive and trying to stop the humans from getting to the Bulbasaur. What kind of Scooby-Doo bollocks is this? What, is this meant to be Gen 1 Trevenant in action? This is meant to be Pokemon, not Final Fantasy 9. Ash tells everyone to dive through the vines. Mate, how dangerous is that? Imagine if the branches had closed on one of their bloody necks. Honestly, I'm surprised I survived my childhood with Pokemon teaching me to do do dumb shit like this. In their defense, how often am I really going to be confronted by a living forest trying to stop me disrupting the evolution of my broccoli monster? Big props to Misty, by the way, who jumps through still holding Togepi, which means she couldn't put her arms out to break her fall. That must have hurt like hell. I know it's a bit of plot armor, but it does make me laugh that after they reach this point, the seemingly sentient forest makes no further effort to stop Ash and his friends. Like, why do these other trees here not have the magic vines? Why is this particular part of the forest not expected to try and stop intruders? Wow, this scene is just like the one from Clefairy and the Moonstone and from Pikachu's Goodbye. If anyone had mass gathering of the same basic Pokemon all singing their names in some kind of ceremony on their Pokemon anime bingo, you can cross it off now. So the glittery pollen in the air and all the singing Bulbasaur apparently make this seemingly dead, withered old tree instantly sprout blossoms. Why are the humans not trying to harness this power? If this is what Bulbasaur are capable of, we could end world hunger with that. A massive Venusaur comes out of the tree's trunk, and Ash's Pokedex says that it soaks up the sun's rays as a source of energy. Brock then says,
But that kind of behavior makes it sound like a plant.
Brock, mate, is this your first day in the Pokemon world? That's what grass types are like. Surely if you're wanting to become the world's best Pokemon breeder, you need to have a basic understanding that grass-type Pokemon often behave in the way that plants do. After repeating "Saw" over and over again with Venusaur, a bunch of the Bulbasaur start to evolve, and I'm starting to think this is all very extravagant for a bunch of level 16 Pokemon. On a positive note, if you ever need a reason to go back and watch this episode, do it for this scene alone. Team Rocket's pun game is on point. Direct quote from Ash after all the Bulbasaur, except his own, evolve into Ivysaur.
This must be their evolution festival.
Ash, where have you been? How are you just realizing this? Brock starts musing about how people have long disagreed about whether Bulbasaur is an animal-type Pokemon or a plant-type Pokemon. Now, I could be pedantic and say there's no such thing as an animal-type Pokemon or a plant-type Pokemon, but instead I'll be pedantic and say that everyone, especially the people who program the Pokedex, believe that Bulbasaur is a grass and poison-type Pokemon, and therefore there is no debate about what Bulbasaur is or isn't, and therefore Brock is talking bollocks. Ash notices that his Bulbasaur is struggling, and Brock says it looks like it's trying not to evolve. What's wrong with you, Bulbasaur? You're so eager to become Ash's best Pokemon, just evolve into Ivysaur. Ivysaur's awesome! Have you played Smash Bros? Don't stay a Bulbasaur, you knobhead, or you'll never be number one. Although technically you will still be number one in the Pokedex. The Venusaur takes exception to Bulbasaur's refusal to evolve, and goes to use Vine Whip on it, so Ash runs down from the place they're hiding and stands in the way of Venusaur's vines. Okay, one, given the size of that Venusaur, those vines should have taken Ash's arms clean off, or at least shattered his collarbones and shoulders, rendering his arms basically useless. And two, how did he get in front of Bulbasaur so fast? When did Ash Ketchum become Flash Ketchum? Ash tells Venusaur he's sorry if Bulbasaur's not evolving ruined their festival. And he gives this heartfelt speech about how Bulbasaur should have the right to choose whether to evolve or not. And Venusaur just looks at him, shoots a bunch of pollen into the air, and adds more blossom to the tree, as if to say,
Yeah, but dickhead, look at the cool shit he could do.
I'm with Venusaur here. It just wants Bulbasaur to achieve its full potential, and Ash's Bulbasaur has only ever wanted to be the best, so what's the issue? Misty points out that the Venusaur can manipulate nature, and that if Bulbasaur would evolve, it could do that too, and Bulbasaur just turns away with a face like a slapped arse. Mate, what is your actual problem? Whenever we see you, you're always wanting to be the best and be the strongest and all that bollocks. And when you finally get a chance to take a step towards that, you dig your heels in and throw a strop. This entire thing is why I can't stand Ash's Bulbasaur. Team Rocket turn up in their hot air balloon as a way of bypassing the forest's natural security system thing it's got going on. You know it's a weird episode when Team Rocket appear to be the smartest people in it. Team Rocket begin reciting their motto, but Meowth tells them to stop wasting time. Jessie says they need the motto, and James says their fans have come to expect it. That's completely understandable. You've got to give the fans what they want. Take my fans, for example. They expect me to remind them that they can save money on G Fuel with code ACE, and it's 30% off this weekend until the 25th of January 2021. You can use code ACE and save 30% off bloody lovely G Fuel. Today I'm drinking Tropical Rain, and bloody hell I need it today. I absolutely need the energy boost. So bottoms up, lads and lasses, and everyone in between. Oh, that's very Moorish. Oh, and a tropical rain in a while. That's quite nice. Use code ACE this weekend, get yourself 30% off. Team Rocket turn on a vacuum in the bottom of their hot air balloon that starts sucking up all the Ivysaur. Yet Ash's Bulbasaur, who weighs about half that of an Ivysaur, is able to remain on the ground without being sucked up. How does that work? Who knew Venusaur had 12 vines? See, Bulbasaur? Evolution really is worth it. Also, I love how Venusaur tries to hold 12 of the Ivysaur back rather than tackling the source of the problem, aka the giant vacuum in the sky. I smell favoritism here. Meowth tells James to turn the suction up to full power, which does raise the question, why didn't they start on full power? But it is enough to lift Venusaur just a little bit off the ground, although still not Ash's Bulbasaur. Ash's Bulbasaur is apparently more than 14.5 times heavier than average. Pass it on. Ash tells Pikachu to use Thunder to take down the balloon, but Misty tells him not to because Thunder attack might harm the Ivysaur. Mate, they're grass types. They resist it. They'll be fine. Also, just remember what Misty says here because we'll come back to it in a bit. I've now watched this scene about 15 times back to back and I still can't work out what's meant to have happened here. Ash has told Bulbasaur to use Razor Leaf to try and take down the balloon, but the leaves seem to be bouncing off the stream of air. But that stream of air is being sucked into the vacuum, so the leaves wouldn't bounce off, they'd be sucked in, right? Like, either way, the Razor Leaf would be completely useless, but I just don't get why the leaves bounce off as if the vacuum was a leaf blower. Direct quote from James. All that's left is a puny little Bulbasaur. Mate, the last shot we saw was Venusaur, still stood on that tree stump that we saw it on before you turned up. It's massive. How did you miss it? Also, does that mean Venusaur let go of the 12 Ivysaur it was holding? Surely it must have, otherwise Team Rocket wouldn't think their work's done. Venusaur, mate, you had one job. Team Rocket mock Ash's Bulbasaur, and suddenly it starts building up energy. Ash checks the Pokedex to see what's happening, and it says that Bulbasaur is getting ready to use Solar Beam. Ash then says,
Okay, Bulbasaur, get ready to use your Solar Beam.
Ash, are you not paying attention? It already is. Dexter literally just told you that. Getting back to the previous point with Misty, and I know the bag with all the Ivysaur in breaks off a couple of moments before this, but how is this any less dangerous to the Ivysaur than using Thunder? Like, sure, they quad resist Solar Beam, but if this explosion had happened a couple of moments earlier, those Ivysaur would have been toast. With the vacuum destroyed, Bulbasaur is able to use Razor Leaf and break open the bag, freeing all the Ivysaur. But if that's all it took, why didn't any of the Ivysaur try using Razor Leaf? After Venusaur shows gratitude to Bulbasaur for saving them, Ash and Co leave the mysterious forest, which disappears whilst they're standing there. Why do they never make a bigger deal when literal magic happens in the Pokemon world? Like entire gardens that appear and disappear in an instant? That's something to get excited about. So at the end of the episode, the narrator says that nobody knows if and when Bulbasaur will evolve except Bulbasaur. But we still haven't had an explanation of why it doesn't want to evolve. Like, I know I'm going on about this, but this is a Pokemon that literally tried to murder Pikachu in order to become Ash's #1. A Pokemon that was said to never want to settle for second best in this very episode, and yet adamantly refuses to grow into a stronger form. Now, I'm sure the most likely reason is that Bulbasaur saw what Charmander went through, where it evolved into Charmeleon and suddenly became arrogant and disobeyed its trainer and even went as far as to physically harm Ash. And now Bulbasaur thinks that if it evolves, that's what it will do too. But the solution there, mate, is just don't become a dick when you evolve. Just because you get bigger doesn't mean you have to become an arsehole, does it? Just look at me when my YouTube channel grew a bit. Wait, bad example. So those are my WTF moments of Pokemon Season 1, Episode 51, Bulbasaur's Mysterious Garden. Let me know your favorites and any that I missed down in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. Head over to twitch.tv/AceTrainerLiam for all of my live streams and use code ACE for 30% off G Fuel this weekend. Until next time though, I'm Ace Trainer Liam. Keep on training.